Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio podcast. I'm Joe Costello, and we're going to continue to dive in with the champions. If you're new to the show, you've never heard WFO Radio, where have you been? We have been here for 10 years, putting out this podcast, interviewing stars of NHRA, Mellow Yellow, and Lucas Oil drag racing, all levels, all drivers, media members. If they do something cool, whatever, we're talking about them on the show. But at the end of every year, we connect with every single Lucas Oil Series champion, every single Mellow Yellow Series champion, and that gets us right to the Winter Nationals. In this show, you are going to hear from the top alcohol funny car back-to-back champ, Sean Bellemeur, going to be joining us just seconds from now. Do want to mention our great sponsors, people like Total Seal Piston Rings at TotalSeal.com. Got a brand new podcast out called Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal. Keith Jones, who is the Director of Technical Sales at Total Seal, and myself getting together and having some in-depth conversations with the star engine builders from motorsports. Jason Line, Pat Musey, those are available right now. So hit that up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast, and check out Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal. But why are we doing it? It's so that you guys realize and know and understand that Total Seal makes the best product out there when it comes to piston rings and sealing your engine. And they can help you regardless of what you're running, whether it be, let's say you're getting ready to start a stock eliminator team, or you happen to run and work in Formula One. They have clients in both. That's the point. TotalSeal.com. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Marvin Rodak, hot sauces and spice rubs, everything good. Hit Marvin up, 817-924-6821. Marvin Rodak doing a great job, and it's coffee roasted fresh per your order. It is gourmet coffee roasted fresh per your order, and it is just spectacular. Plus the hot sauces and the spice rubs and the drag racing themed blends. Check them out at rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com. Big time WFO radio supporter, drag racing fan, located in Fort Worth, Texas. And if you're down there, stop by the showroom. They sell grills, they sell high-end grills, they sell a lot of great stuff. And Marvin is a very, very knowledgeable character. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. You know, I'm pushing this one and have been pushing this one as a holiday gift, but really it is great for yourself. You know, I go shopping at the holidays and I end up buying myself stuff because I never go shopping. And then I realize, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. I'm at the mall, I'll buy it in the end. You can apply that attitude to Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure. 866-480-7223. I think you need to drive a dragster. I think you need to go 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile and see what that's like. And I think you need to take advantage of hanging out with Frank all day long. They can set up races. So if you want your employees to have a race against each other as a reward for great work ethic, that kind of thing, or your best clients or your sales team, they can make that happen as well. Give them a call, 866-480-7223. Samtech.edu, a much more, it is a self-focused sponsor because this is your career. This is your life. What are you going to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? I want to rock, and I want to race and maybe build high-performance racing engines. I want a machine. Blockhead CNC programs that are approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. All of that stuff, Samtech.edu, doing a great job. The Massengill family, really proud of what they're doing down there. And what has been so much better is to meet all the graduates and the guys who are like climbing the ladder in the real racing world. You don't have to end up in racing, by the way. You can go to work for Boeing, Aerospace. They've got graduates everywhere, and they can help you get placed. Samtech.edu. And finally, Magic Dry US, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA, magicdryus.com. If you are using kitty litter, that is a bad move to clean up your spills. Magic Dry is 100% organic. It's made of coconut. It's lightweight. It absorbs 560% of its weight. It's a much better product, bottom line. Plus, made in America from naturally reoccurring coconuts, which is a win-win for everyone. Go to magicdryus.com to find out more information. Plus, I want to mention Drag Racing Edge Magazine. That's Johnny D, John DeBartolomeo, and doing a great job with the magazine. We heard recently everybody very upset about like magazines going under, Carcraft, no longer available in print, and I agree. That's horrible. It's something of interest for your friends to pick up. It doesn't matter what you are reading on your iPhone and whatever, but that knowledge is not being disseminated to others if you can't pass it along. And that's what a magazine is. So get a subscription to Drag Racing Edge magazine. You can do it on the web. It's very inexpensive. It's incredibly inexpensive. And then finally, EV3 Drag Racing for your mobile device. See, we're all about mobile also. We're a podcast. We're using your mobile device. It's the future. But we need Drag Racing magazines as well. Big thanks to all of those folks for stepping up and helping us out here on WFO Radio. Got a lot of people that help us out. But now, let's talk to our alcohol funny car champ. Here he is, joining us now, back-to-back top alcohol funny car champ in the Lucas Oil Series, Sean Bellemeur on WFO. Sean, congratulations.
Thanks, man. I've stayed here in my office and looking at the two trophies sitting side by side. I couldn't believe it last year at this time when we had one. It's just living a dream, man. It's been a heck of a ride, that's for sure.
You had a back-to-back, they say, is always harder, right? Now, like winning a second one is harder, but going back-to-back because you've got a target on your back. Everybody knows you're the champ. You're not sneaking up on anybody. They know what you're capable of, that kind of deal. You just went through the experience. You put up an 808-point total, which is extremely strong. The first year you had the perfect claim. Talk about this year compared to last year. Was it tougher? Was it different? How was it different?
You're absolutely right. You have that target on your back. And number one, I think there's a little more pressure on yourself just to stay where you're at, number one, something happened this year that hasn't really happened in the past for alcohol funny car, and not so immediate anyway. And that was, the development of the super teams, and I take that as a compliment. I mean, Shane Westerfield matching, hooking up with Rick Jackson and Johnny Lindbergh going over to Brian Haug. And I mean, all of that was done to come after us. And like I said, I take that as the utmost respect and the utmost compliment that, that's what these guys feel it needs to beat us. And we knew they were going to come out strong and sitting in the off season last year and hearing about all the moves that were being made. I was talking to Boggs on the phone one time last winter and said, we're going to have to be as good or better than ever. And that's really good for the class. It's really good for, the sport in general to see these teams come together and go duke it out.
It has been fun to watch. And, alcohol funny car is a category that the insiders love, many fans love. There's a good fan base, but it's just one of those deals that's like right below Nitro funny car. And so, the casual fan maybe doesn't pay attention. But you all, the whole class has been working so hard to make it so you have to watch, right? It's like a must-watch category because it's a thrill show out there, whether it be courageous drives, like you had a couple this year. I remember, calling races with you along the wall, like a foot off the concrete, staying with it to win a round. We had some spills this year. We have a great diversity of personalities. I think of, Chris Marshall and Annie Whiteley, Doug Gordon, guys like that, the Hull brothers. It's just a very interesting category. But when you roll out, you won the championship last year. You were the guy to beat. You had extra pressure, and you got the job done.
And that's a testament to my team. I mean, you hear every driver say that, pro or sportsman, but it's true. You're only as good as the car that's given to you. And when everything comes together, both from a physical and mechanical sense, but also a mental sense. And that's something that I'd like to think that I bring to Tony Bartone and the team I try to be, an upbeat guy and keep my guys laughing. It's a long year. And so we've got to differentiate ourselves from the other teams. And what we try to do is kind of an all for one, one for all mentality. And I love my team. I love the guys that are on the team now. We had the addition of Troy Green this year as car chief. And Troy has been, he has just been that glue that's held us together this year. He's been amazing. You're right. I mean, there's a lot of personalities in our class. I wish any fan, casual, hardcore alcohol fan, anybody that wants to listen to me talk, come by the trailer sometime. I would be absolutely willing and happy to take any fan, small or big, little or old, male or female, doesn't matter to me, what it's like to take a run in an alcohol funny car. Because of my 15-plus years of driving, I've never had two runs that have been the same. Like you say, you have some close calls. There's something to be said for when, in my opinion, the best driver in the class, Doug Gordon, goes out and tips the car over in Vegas trying to stay number one qualifier. Let me tell you something. These cars are hard to drive. They're a hell of a lot of fun. And then when you get two of them together, out there trying to do the same thing. I consider an alcohol fighting car, it's like riding a bull. You just got two of them in the same ring at the same time trying to beat each other.
Very exciting. All right, so let's talk about this season, and that memory is a very foggy over the course of the 2019 season in all the different categories. So tell me about the start. If memory serves me right, though, it was Brian Howe who really started off strong. You mentioned Johnny Lindbergh and the different relationships that came together out of necessity, understanding how strong your team is. And it's like, well, we're not going to be able to rival these guys on our own. Let's forge some partnerships and relationships. And, it's almost like governments, right, going to war in a crazy way. Like, we can't beat those guys by ourselves. It's just not going to happen. We need some allies. And we see it. You mentioned, Shane Westerfield, but Brian Haug is the one who started off the season strong. And you guys, was it strong out of the bat? I know you won at Gainesville, the 50th Amalie Motor Oil Gator Nationals. Both of our champions did, you and Megan. But this season was kind of a tale of some ups and downs, and they threw some haymakers and landed.
Yeah, sure did. And, for us, our intention, we rolled a new race car out for this year. Sold the one from last year. And this car, I was actually a lot more comfortable in the car for this year. The car that I drove to the championship last year was actually originally built for Tony himself. It was a little bit of a smaller guy than I am. So went to Murph McKinney's shop a while back and got fit in this brand new hot rod. And this one I was, just out of the bat confident in, because I fit in the thing. And it felt right, and everything was where I wanted it. And we went to started out at the Baby Gators, the regional event there, which last year we went home with the win and pretty confident. And the car was doing good. And, that old story about the 5-cent part, we were pulling up in the semifinals, getting ready to race DJ Cox, and the motor quits. And I looked down, and there's a kill wire hanging off the kill switch in the steering wheel. Literally a 5-cent screw killed the engine. And that was the start to our season. And with all the anticipation of coming off of the perfect year last year, and the car running really well, me being comfortable in the thing, that was not a real good start to the season. And so, but my team being as good as they are, and they came together, and even only one race in, we talked closely and had some good heart to hearts about, okay, let's not lose focus here. And we came out swinging at the Gator Nationals, and we actually, in my opinion, that was one of the races that kind of set the tone for the year for us. It was Gainesville. Number one, with the magnitude of the race itself. Don't think that the racers don't feel that too. The 50th Gator Nationals. I know I was trying to stay focused. I was busy being a little kid and chasing Daryl Gwynn around and Garlitz and all these heroes that I grew up around. And it's sometimes you got to kind of refocus yourselves when you go to get in the car. But Steve Boggs told me before the final round, and Gainesville was a really special race for me personally. Sunday of Gainesville was the 10-year anniversary of my mom's passing. And Steve even told me, because, man, we got something special for today. And the car was just reeling off 530s, but so were other cars. Brian Haug was there, and he was running really strong. And Doug Gordon was there, and he was running really strong. And, there again shows you just how tough the class is. I mean, DJ Cox had an unfortunate crash there. And it was everybody was running their stuff on edge. And, boy, in that final round, that car went 535. I couldn't believe it. They got on the radio and told me what it had run, and I somewhat emotional from the story of my mom, and when I kind of had to repeat it in my head a couple of times. 535. I mean, when Lindbergh ran that 36 a couple of years ago, I don't think anybody thought that'd get touched for quite a while. I mean, there's some guys that had gotten close, but boy, that 36 sure was special. So it took a while for that one to sink in for me. And I think that kind of set the tone as, hey, we've got the equipment, and Steve isn't letting go of that stranglehold at all.
Wow. No, very, very cool. And I think it's cool that you're chasing around Daryl Gwynn. I'm sure Daryl will be happy to hear that, he's still one of the legends that people are looking to chase down in the pits. And I love it, especially you as a champion. Mid-season, though, if memory serves me right, like, this was not a cruise. You guys had some struggles.
Yeah, I mean, excuses could get made, but I'll tell you, we fought a couple of things, and one of them being, and one thing that was a little tough was, we kind of got tossed around on the schedule a few times, and what changes, maybe the casual fan doesn't understand, but what changes with what time you run is track preparation. And, you set the car up at one point to go, and then you don't go, and you try to change it, and you try to calculate, and then you sit in the staging lanes for a while. And, like I said, I'm not making no excuses. We have changes we could make to the car, but that bit us a couple of times. You go up and expect one thing, and you got a totally different racetrack out there. So we had to change our approach a little bit. And it took losing a couple of races. I remember specifically after the first Charlotte race in the spring, we sat down and kind of said, okay, obviously this is the hand we're dealt. We need to make adjustments here. And so when we left Charlotte and went to next couple of races, and the one that sticks out in my mind is Topeka, we said, okay, we need to look at this a little differently. And, Steve, being the magician he is, went out and, it was cool and he ran fast, and when it got hot out, he ran faster. And Steve looked at me and he said, I think we got this thing. And, and from a driver's standpoint, you hear the legend himself, Steve Boggs, look you in the eye and say that, boy, I was grinning ear to ear, and, just cinched down the seatbelts a little tighter and hold on, because I knew it was going to be a good ride. So that was, I think, a real good point for us. Was after Charlotte, we kind of changed our approach a little bit. And, you leave Gainesville with the record. It's so easy to try to swing for the fence every racetrack you go to. And the reality is we just kind of had to change that up a little bit. I had to change my driving style a little bit, which was fine. And we just kind of all got back on the same page and really focused more on racing the racetracks and the current conditions, because that can be tricky.
I can imagine but it looks like, a lesson was learned. And even as a championship team, you guys are still learning and growing and overcoming obstacles, which I'm sure the rest of the competition is very upset to hear about. But it paid dividends down the stretch. So down the stretch, though, Westerfield won out there in Brainerd, and Chris Marshall was still hanging tough, and he was involved. And this was not a lock down the stretch. So let's talk about those final few races before you became champ, which I believe it happened for you in Charlotte as well. You tell me, but, going from it's in question to locking it up, tell us the story of that situation.
The race that changed it all for us was Indy. Going into the U.S. Nationals, pretty confident, done well at a few races. We happened to win Norwalk, and we won Topeka, as I mentioned, and just kind of feel like we're getting back in control of this thing. And of course, from a point standpoint at this time in the season, we're chasing Brian Howe. He's out in front and kind of running away from us. So we were keeping a close eye on him and Lindbergh and where they were headed. And of course, that's the other thing too. You mentioned Shane Westerfield. Westerfield's that kind of guy there where he just quietly wins rounds, just wins around. All of a sudden he's winning rounds. Gordon go to 6 finals this year or something? I mean, it was just, the players that are always there at the end were right there in the middle of it. And, we went into Indy and with a lot of confidence, and as returning, still pinching myself from winning it last year, feeling pretty good about our chances of winning it again. And then for me personally, had a tragedy happen where my boss and dear friend Tom Sheelar passed away right before Indy, and dealing with that and trying to get my head back right again for the U.S. Nationals. And I let it get to me. First qualifying run in Indy, I made as bad a mistake as you could make driving an alcohol funny car, and missed my leave RPM, and it just basically threw the whole run out the window. And sitting down in the shutdown area, I had a in-memory decal for my friend Tom, and it's got a picture of him, and he's looking at me, and I can almost see him just looking at me. He goes, "Hey, stupid, drive your car right." And I got to laughing, and I kind of shed a few tears, and got a hug from a safety car member down there, and that turned my weekend around. And we got in and was able to go number 1 qualifier, and then we've been struggling a little bit with consistency issues. Here and there, we went to the Chicago regional race and had something kind of pop up that we weren't expecting. And it had bit us a couple of times. It had happened at the Norwalk regional race as well. And it came up again second round and racing Jay Payne. And Of all the places you don't want a problem to pop up, the U.S. National second round is not the one you want. But I got to tell you, Joe, that was the turning point of our season right there. That's when I felt like when the problem was big enough, evident enough, and reoccurring enough now to where we pinpointed it, and we were able to just kind of take a breath and dissect what was going on. And sure enough, we found an issue. And that was the turning point. So it's funny. I've told a couple of people that, the best race for us this year was Indianapolis. They kind of look at me funny. And I said, because we were able to expose that problem. We went on a pretty good run after Indy and into Reading. And I felt like we were back to us in Reading. And I felt like that was a good indicator to our competitors too. It says, hey, we're back, look out.
Wow. So, round 2 loss at Indy is the key to the championship season, but it makes sense because if you've got some sort of a mysterious challenge and you don't know what it is, that could be the end of you, and you were able to pinpoint it and find it and work through it and then go on to have great success the remainder of the year.
Yeah. And, and it's like in any sports, I'm a big sports fan and follow them closely. Oftentimes the one standing on the podium at the end of the year is the team that gets hot at the right time. And it's kind of what happened with us. We struggled a little bit with ourselves early in the season with the track stuff. And then, we had this mechanical issue that was plaguing us a little bit. And, who I felt the worst for there was Steve Boggs and Tony Bartone. I mean, Tony basically says, buy what you need to make it all right, make it good. I don't care. And we still fight these issues. And and the thing was, it wasn't a product that was the issue. It was the way it was being set up. And so once we found that in Indy, I felt like, okay, Bartone, Boggs, and Bellemeur, we're rolling again. And it felt like last year again. And we got hot at the right time. And all of a sudden, Brian Haug is struggling a little bit. And Westerfield had a couple of struggles. And I felt like then that's when we had this thing by the neck. And we just needed to finish it.
And for those of you who are wondering why I don't ask Sean what it was, it's because I know that there are other teams that might be having this exact same problem, and he's not going to tell them how to fix it.
I'll let them figure it out.
Exactly.
It's it's one of those things where it's pretty simple. Like I said, it wasn't any one engine part or clutch part or transmission part. It just was something that we were doing with the way we set it up that was incorrect. And it was actually, and it's no real secret, but the way we set one of our machines up, the machine was wrong, and we finally caught it. So it wasn't, like I said, it was nobody's fault. It was, I'm not going to bury a manufacturer here. It wasn't their fault. It was our fault. So it was just, it was a great find by our crew guy. Boy, like I said, that turned our season around.
Wow. Well, tremendous. And then you go on to be the champ. You did a great job at the awards ceremony with your speech. And I believe that Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster, but to a slightly greater degree, Top Alcohol Funny Car has a lot of room to run, more growth potential, because what you're doing is extreme with the shifting of the gears and swapping feet at the hit and the 8,000 RPMs on the starting line. These are all things that are really extreme and shocking to people. Plus, the cars are skittish and wild, and you guys are a whole host of characters and personalities out there. I would imagine you guys are going for 3 in a row next year. Tell me about your schedule. And one race that I cannot wait to see is the 4-Wide Nationals. How are you guys going to launch? How are you going to do that?
I knew you were going to say that. You're absolutely right. I mean, and that's why I say I invite any fan to come by. And with NHRA's help and Joe, you guys, I mean, I'm trying to stand up and yell as loud as I can for the classes, the top alcohol classes, because let me tell you something. They are sketchy. They're fun. I have an in-car video from around where we actually beat Brian Haug in Charlotte. And I mean, the car was right on the guardrail and it had all the championship implications. It was just awesome. So, it's these things are a heck of a lot of fun to drive and watch. And I think the more we educate the fans on what we're really doing in there, I mean, it's not just gas and go. It's pretty wild. There's a lot going on inside those cars, but as far as next year, yeah, we're more full steam ahead. Steve Boggs and Troy Green have already been assembling things to go after it again. And it's funny. Westerfield's a good friend of mine. We talk quite a bit and hang out and stuff. And he and I have really embraced this idea of the 4-wide. And it's going to take cooperation of the drivers. It's going to take cooperation of the teams. I'm guessing there's going to be a little bit of drama. I mean, there seems like there always is when there's something new involved. But, it's a really good thing for our class. And Shane and I both talked and said, you know what, we're really excited about this. I think that, seeing 4-wide of the madness of shifting and revving up and stuff like that, like I said, it's going to present some challenges. But I think if all the drivers are on the same page, it'll be a hell of a show. I'm really looking forward to Vegas first, and then on to Charlotte to do it again.
Yeah, the methodology. Like, if you could, walk us through that real quick. Like, my intellect tells me that everybody just needs to, get in there as rapidly as they feel comfortable getting in there. And the idea of, hanging somebody out or staging games or taking a long time, like, you just can't. Like, everybody's just got to go and do their thing and get in there. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. Like, the guy who goes in first and brings it up, as opposed to the guy that goes in last. How long can you be on the throttle at 8,000 sitting on the starting line?
Yeah, it's funny. And the other one is, it depends on if Ulf Leanders is in that foursome, because his car's so damn loud you can't hear your own anyway. But if we're leaving at 7, he's leaving at 85. I swear, just to mess us up. But no, he's the plan is going to be pretty simple, actually, and that is get together with everybody and just count to 2 and stage. And that's easier said than done. And that's a thing like the casual fan may not understand. If you watch Alcohol Funny Cars, there's a little something we do as drivers, just as kind of, it's like an unwritten rule. When you have both cars have the pre-stage lights on, after a couple of seconds, typically you'll hear a car whack the throttle and you'll hear the other car whack the throttle. And that's basically us saying to each other, hey, I'm ready to go. And we start revving them up and stage them. And within, 90% of the drivers within the country is, a second or two and off you go. Well, that may be a little bit of a problem with the 4-wide deal. I mean, how am I in lane 1 going to hear the guy in lane 4 whack his throttle?
Right.
So, like I said, that could be a little bit of an issue. You got a 4,000 horsepower engine sitting at 8,000 RPM, basically being held onto by a brake lever and a clutch pedal. That thing is pissed off and wants to get out of there quick, and everybody is facing that same challenge. So I think with a little camaraderie, a little bit of cooperation amongst drivers, I think it'll be just fine. It's a little chaotic in there at times, and I expect that to continue with 4-wide.
Very, very exciting. Something to look forward to in the 2020 season. Sean, congratulations. Back-to-back championships and Top Alcohol Funny Car, obviously a class that was dominated by Frank Manzo for many years. Then Johnny Lindbergh had a couple of years of strong domination. And from what I understand, Johnny is going to be back in the mix. The exact situation, I don't know exactly, but I know he's going to be tuning Brian, and you might have to deal with him as a driver as well from here from time to time. But it has been a lot of fun. I do agree. Top Alcohol Funny Car, one of the great categories out there. All kinds of personalities. Doug Gordon going to be back with a vengeance. Annie Whiteley yet to show her full potential, even as the speed record holder and, great racer with many wins. Chris Marshall hopefully going to be back. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Guys like Terry Ruckman, he's got a really good team over there. They're going to do some good things. It's going to be wide open. You're going to have your hands full, and it's going to be fun to watch. Thank you for talking about your championship here on WFO Podcast.
Appreciate it, Joe. I can't wait.
Thank you, Sean. Sean Bellemeur with us here on WFO Radio, back-to-back Top Alcohol Funny Car World Champion. He'll be going for 3 in a row next year. I spoke with Tony Bartone, and he has agreed to come on the show at some point in the future. That will be a whole lot of fun. And all you other alcohol teams, I would imagine you guys are working real hard to knock this guy off the top. Good luck. It is going to be a lot of fun to watch Top Alcohol 2020 in the NHRA next year. If you haven't already, click subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, write us a review for our show. We would greatly appreciate that. That would be great. More champions to come in the archive. We have got Steve Torrance. We've got Megan Meyer. We've got Allison Dahl. We've got Robert Height. We've got Andrew Hines. They're all there and more to come. It is going to be a whole lot of fun. We really appreciate all you folks and the great sponsors who make it possible. MagicDryUS.com, Samtech.edu, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com, Total Seal Piston Rings, Drag Racing Edge, and EV3 Drag Racing, stepping up with a little support of WFO Radio. Plus, our Patreons. You guys are getting some actual consistent weekly new content. Been doing the Patreons on Monday and having a good time with it. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. You can get there from our site for those of you who want to kick in directly and get some special content in exchange. It's kind of a fun little program, like a VIP program for WFO Radio listeners. That's going to do it. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for super comp, super gas, all the way up to top alcohol, they can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to magicdryus.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. magicdryus.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's magicdryus.com. Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
This is WFO Radio.